Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shieldmaidens podcast. This is the place where we hope you'll come to be raised up to be a warrior for Christ, while also learning how to fight back against the enemy. And the whole time we just want to point you to Jesus. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Riley.
We are your host of the Shieldmaidens podcast. And we're so grateful that you're here today, taking some time out once again to listen in on our conversation with some friends today. Before we get started, though, I want to remind you to please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching from there. That will really help us to get the word out and spread the Shieldmaidens around a little bit, since we would love for this to grow. We'd also be happy if you could hit the notification bell. That way you'll know every week on Tuesdays when the episodes come out. You'll get that notification. We like comments. We like if you like our videos, all those sorts of things. If you're listening in on the audio version too, please make sure you're following there. And we'd love a review from you if you're feeling up to it. It would help us also, again, just spread the word about our new podcast. So we'd be grateful for that. But today, Riley.
Today we have some great friends here.
Yes.
And we're actually talking about friendship, so that's appropriate, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Tiffany
today.
and Carrie, if you guys would like to introduce yourself, just who you are, what you do, just quick
Families.
snippet.
Quick snippet.
Go ahead.
Perfect. I'm Carrie Opal. My husband and I run a local business here in town,
Doing.
heating and air.
Okay.
Woo! And that just keeps us busy,
Okay.
along with our 4 boys.
And 4 boys. Yeah.
My name's Tiffany Hoon. I am the title supervisor at Near North Title Group. We do real estate title work, and it's me and my daughter at home. She's 14, and then my son is an adult, and he lives in Maine.
Oh, that's far away.
It is.
Is that hard?
Sometimes, but he's been independent since day one, so it really wasn't a surprise that he wanted
That's
to go
just
there.
who he is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, ladies. Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about friendship and what it looks like to be real friends versus, the kind of surface level friends. Somebody will stick beside you forever.
Yeah.
And I thought of you guys. Actually, I was talking to Tiffany, and you had mentioned that you guys have been friends for, was it 19 years?
26.
Oh, I was wrong. Sorry.
24.
20
26.
something years.
26.
So a
Which is
long
really
time.
hard when you're only 24 years old.
Right.
I know.
I mean, since birth.
Before birth. Right. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so we thought, who better to have on to talk about friendship than like a beautiful example of more than 2 decades of friendship here. So how'd you guys meet?
So we started our friendship in 1998, just a few years ago. We met as freshmen at USI, and we were in a math class. And unfortunately, there was a girl that wasn't very nice that sat close to us, so we kind of bonded at that point. And from there, I don't know, we just kind of stuck it out, I guess,
Yeah.
through many, many years.
26 years is a long time.
It's huge.
And I can't imagine all the stuff that you've been through together.
We've been through it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dating, marriages,
Deaths,
births.
kids.
Yeah. Kids getting married. My oldest just got married this year.
That was tough on me.
All right.
Most of on you.
I cried the whole time they went down the aisle. It was terrible.
Yeah. So he's almost 25. So she's been there since before he was born. So we've literally raised our children together.
Did you have any babies when you met?
No.
Oh my goodness.
And you
now
grew
you
up
have
together.
how many?
Because you said you were freshmen in college, so 18
Yes.
probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We literally have grown up together. We've lived together during divorces. We've done births together. I mean, if you can think of it through life, we've done it at this point together. So it's been a long time, but lots of memories.
It's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Yeah. So is there anything that sticks out in the history of your friendship where you would say, man, I couldn't have done it without her?
Our divorces at the same time.
Oh, they happened at the same time.
We had my second marriage was extremely tough. And as she was helping me through that,
Mine had been falling apart for a while. I mean, it was a surprise, but it wasn't. And so we lived together for a couple of months.
during that time frame.
Yeah, until I moved out and got an apartment. I hadn't ever lived on my own before.
Wow.
So it was interesting. She'd done it before, though,
Yeah.
on her own. I hadn't. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of growing. I mean, it wasn't the easiest time in our friendship either.
It was hard. I mean,
we were both in bad places.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And I thought about this morning when I was getting up. I thought, we are so much better now. It's partially maturity, but misery loves company, and that's where we were.
Mm-hmm. We were.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was good for our kids because when one of us would be having a hard day and not functioning to our best potential, the other one could kind of step in. And there was days that I can remember sitting in the kitchen and all the kids being loud and rambunctious. And
There were 5 at the time.
yeah. And just looking at each other going, this is what's getting us through, because we didn't know what was happening the next day. We didn't know how we were going to get through. We didn't go into jobs and all the things. Like, you just don't know how you're getting through. And it's great to have a best friend on the outside, but to have somebody there with you to when you can't function, kind of help pick up the pieces. And who doesn't love somebody to do the dishes for you without asking? I mean, when your best friend's living with you, you kind of know the routine.
It was like the smoothest household. I mean, she cooked because we don't want me to cook. And I cleaned up the kitchen like a rock star. I did laundry. Yeah. It was her first time in a while working outside of the home. Mm-hmm. She had been working from home. And so it was I had been working part-time, which clearly you can't raise kids on a part-time income. So I had gone back to work full-time.
Yeah.
We had one still in speech therapy. And so it was just a lot.
Yeah. It was a whole lot.
Yeah. And that was a decade ago. It was 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, a lot happens in a decade.
A lot does happen in a decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, that was 2014. So you had been friends, though, for 15, 16 years?
We would have been, 16 years.
So you had already had that established friendship, obviously, anyway, and had kind of grown up together.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, though, that picture. I think that's one thing I feel like in our culture is almost missing. Is you can see it in other cultures where people live in very close proximity with each other. Small villages or things like that, and they don't have this, the grandmothers, the aunts, the other women surrounding you. You all do all the things together. You're raising your kids together. You're doing all of your laundry. You're cooking all together, and we don't have that here very much. You know what I mean? Like our culture is just not set up that way, and I feel like personally there's some great things about that, of course, with the independence, but then we don't have that connectedness, that real intimate connectedness.
It's definitely lacking these days.
That you don't see the intimate workings of someone's life when you're cooking together, doing laundry together, raising kids in the same household. Like, we're just so isolated here.
Yes.
And so even to have that picture, even though it's temporary, just for a short time of you guys during that friendship, like, that's so beautiful. I wish we had it. I don't know how to implement that here other than church and building those close relationships where you're really, I don't even like this quote, but or this phrase, like doing life together. I feel like that's kind of cliche, but literally that's what you're doing is all the normal daily things together. It's not this big thing where you come together once in a while. It's the normal everyday stuff where that relationship is built. Yep. And I don't know how to change that here.
Yeah,
but
it's the old school mentality, I think, not just because we're older, but back then life was busy, but I feel as though life is more busy now. Yeah. And back then we cherished it more, even though we were crazy and go in different directions. Like any other relationship, you have to put into it. Yeah. It's kind of like a marriage, but in a friendship level, you're putting into what you're getting out of it. Yeah. And even though there's been times where we have separate friendships, but it never has faltered that we've come back together, or every day we're talking or sending pictures or sharing lives, or if her kids need something, they know they can come to me, or vice versa. My kids will reach out to her for things that she can do in the title work company, or mom's not being very nice, so they'll go to her.
Go to other mom.
Right. And even, in our relationships, the significant others, we've kind of always joked, we're we're a package deal. Like you can't like me or be in my life if you don't like her. It's how it is for us. But we've always put into it. And even when we're not on the same page, or maybe decisions aren't agreed upon,
the respect is there. Right. We have so much more than just current decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, because we can't be any more opposite, the two of us.
Oh, really?
Oh, polar opposites.
Okay, explain to me.
No way.
Tell me.
Oh,
I want to know because I don't know your friendship. I mean, I know Carrie.
She's girly. I am not.
You're wearing
You
pink.
look good in pink, though.
Yeah,
Thank you. I haven't done laundry in days.
Oh, stop it.
She's always on top of the housework and the cooking and all of that. That has not always been my strong point.
Me either, sister. You're not alone.
I like you treaded very nicely right there.
She has all boys, and she is a wonderful boy mom, but she was meant to have my daughter because I think I do better with the boys. I love my daughter, and she is the sweetest thing ever, but she's her, made over 100%. Expensive shoes, fancy nail polish, makeup.
Aaron went that treading lightly. Thanks.
But
All
the
of
girly
it.
stuff.
All the girly things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How cool, though, that she gets to maybe have some of that in her
And
bonus mom,
and she's been there since day one. When I had my ultrasound to find out if I was having a boy or a girl, my mom couldn't come. My husband at the time couldn't come. He had just started a new job, so her and my other friend from childhood came. So we all found out together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like more like sisters and stuff.
It was because I didn't have a
Friends, yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
that bond really is relatable. And through the years with friendships, I mean, you long for that. You know, as a female, we long for those intimate relationships. And it's never failed that you, no matter how much you strive and put in, a lot of the times God has different ways and those friendships are removed. So I'm thankful that this one has been the one that's stayed strong and focused. And no matter what, it's one single phone call and you drop everything, kind of like your sister or your spouse or your parent, whatever that relationship is. She's always been the first of two phone calls for me. So yeah, I mean, it's a respect thing. It's a growth, but that bond, like, I don't know how to explain it other than a sisterhood.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions, was that, you know, a lot of times when girls are really good friends and then somebody goes off and gets married, how dare they, that relationship is strained. And a lot of times you don't end up calling each other, or you have kids and you get too busy. And it's not that you don't want to reach out to them. You just kind of forget, because it's, you know, until it's midnight and then it's too late to contact people. And because you're just so consumed with everyday life and everything that's going on. So how did you guys go through living together, and then you end up in marriages, separated, not living together, but you're still strong as ever?
The best part about this is we're both morning people. So our
That's the
conversation,
secret. Okay,
that is
me. Yeah.
for the most
We'll talk
part.
at night. Riley and I will talk at midnight.
I
There you
guess
go.
that's really what it started us talking every day, was before the days of fancy cell phones. I can remember getting ready in my apartment when Mitchell was a baby and having to let you go because I needed to dry my hair so I could go to work.
Yeah. So
And it was 6 a.m.
Yeah, it's the early morning phone calls, or now it's, you know, Facebook Reels or the funny things,
sending
or
things, yeah.
it's, and again, it's, although we talk probably 5 days a week,
Sometimes we can go weeks.
we can
Well,
physically talking. That is,
And a lot of it, you brought it up earlier with kids. Your lives get busy. We had boys playing sports for the longest time. They've all kind of outgrown that. The only one doing anything now is Bailey, and she's our caboose. So we've been able to come full circle back to where we started when we lived together, because they were all too little to really be in anything then.
yes, yeah,
I think Matt had just started baseball, and Mitchell was probably just in hockey, but they were They were young.
You learn. I mean, again, like a marriage or any other relationship that you're pouring into, you got to find that time. And for us, it was the early morning, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Now it's her dog's getting her up and I'm out the door to work. So it's normally between like 5 and 7 has been our time frame for a long time. Or if something happens during the day, we'll get that quick text. Or sometimes at night, driving home, and that 5 minutes in the car or whatever you can work in. But again, there's been times where we've gone a week or two and haven't really spoken verbally just because life.
Yeah.
But the respect factor that we know if I needed her, it's a phone call or a text.
Yeah.
There's an emergency and she drops everything. It happened a few months ago and she was there. And it wasn't even me calling her, but she was there.
No, I told you I was going.
Yeah. No matter how stubborn and hard-headed sometimes I can be. She's like, yeah.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'll be there as soon as the doors open.
Yeah. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sitting here thinking for someone, female friendships can be hard, right? And I think I've said this before. I've been really blessed that I've always had good, solid friendships, female friendships from early on age. And actually, my best friend, we have been friends for like 35 years. It was kindergarten. And we still keep in touch. She doesn't live here, but we do keep in touch and talk relatively frequently for as busy as life is. But for someone maybe who doesn't have that or hasn't had it, from your perspective, when you've had this, over 2 decade long strong friendship, is there advice you could give someone who's really longing for that? Because like you said, most women really do long for that connected relationship with other women. And it can be hard. So do you have any advice? I don't know if that's the right word.
I
advice
think for
or
both of us, I
suggestions?
can say even with her friendship, there is still a longing for deeper friendships in a bigger group. Her and I are
There's
smaller.
never been competition with us.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Is there's never a competition. There's never I don't have to sit and wonder, oh my gosh, she's going to hang out with somebody else today. Oh, they're going to steal her. It's not like that. It's an understanding of we're solid. Like I don't, at the end of the day.
We just have different things going on sometimes.
Right. And if she wants to go hang out with somebody else, awesome. I want to hear about it.
Right.
And it's that not having the competition in life. And I think society has really brought us with social media, seeing all the highlight reels, and you need all of that. The superficial side of things, we're just not. We're very realistic. It's sometimes hard truth to hear, even though you don't want to hear it. And we just had this not too long ago. She had sent a text and I didn't respond. And then all of a sudden she's calling and she's like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings or make you mad. And I was like, I didn't even read your text. Like I opened it and she was like, oh, okay. She's like, I thought maybe I hurt your feelings. And I was like, nope, we're kind of used to it at this point. So for me, my theory would be genuine, pour into what you want, because a flower doesn't bloom unless it's watered. So you have to water that flower, which is a big saying in my life. You have to water the flower in order to.
I can tell you love that, Tiff.
She hears it a lot.
And then I literally do water her flowers when they go on vacation. So there's some irony to it too.
It's a thing. But again, you can't grow if you're not watered. And so for friendships, marriages, work relationships, anything in life, for me, I try to focus on that. And sometimes we are so busy on my end, I don't water her flower enough. But in the times where she would need it, I'm probably overwatering it.
Yeah, I don't think either one of
versa.
us have ever felt that way. And if we did, it was a fleeting moment where we remembered, hey, you got to show each other grace.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge part of it too. When you're looking for women, you do need some similarities, but I don't think it would be as much of a fun friendship if we weren't so different.
Yeah, very different.
You see the memes where there's one that won't get in an argument and the other one says, watch out, here I come. That's her.
Wow, I thought we were treading lightly and nicely here. Okay, it's fine.
It's perfect.
The husband says, I'll take the bullet, but you're probably the one that's the reason the bullets are coming at us. I'm probably the one that started it, and she's the one that'll come in and finish it for me. Yeah.
I mean,
Everybody needs that, right?
Yeah.
To die, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to find some similarities, but you also have to be willing to know and understand that not everybody is the same, and it'd be boring for one, but you also have to show each other grace. You're not always going to be on the same page. We've not always agreed with the decisions each other's made, but we have enough respect for each other that we recognize that if that's what you wish to do and that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy. I'm game.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do
And
it.
then if it falls apart, you're there picking up the pieces together and being like,
Yeah.
I was an idiot. Thanks for just supporting me, and thanks for helping me clean it up. It's, I don't know. It's been a thing.
Yeah. I don't know that I'll ever have that with anybody else, though. I mean, even all of my other friendships because we each have a solid other group of friends.
We do.
But we just always come back to each other.
I don't know.
Maybe no one wants to deal with
Soul
it.
sisters. That's
No,
right?
Soul sisters. That's right. We're kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's too late in the game now.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you just don't see, honestly, you don't see a lot of friendships that have stood that test of time at that level of closeness either. You know what I mean? And I was sitting there thinking when you were talking, different friends, I hate to say serve different purposes in your life, but you have different friends that maybe fill different roles. Some you're closer to, or that, one that will pray for you, one that's always going to bring the fun, one that's one that's your fashionista. Those are silly examples, but you have these friends that maybe bring a different element to your life. Not every friend is going to be super close, and they're not all going to be the same in the
during different
relationship.
stages of life,
Yes.
because we've done this full circle now. I was a traveling baseball mom, and I had that whole group of friends. I'm still really close to a lot of them, but at the end of the day, it's her and I've got one or two other ones that I'm still super close to. And I could call them this way, but the test of time, I think, has been for her and I. So the different stages, hockey, volleyball, baseball, I don't know. We've done every sport between us. So everyone, you learn that. You see, just like you said, you have those different friends through different stages
seasons,
or the seasons as they're called now. I don't know. That wasn't a thing back in 25 years ago. The seasons of life.
Yeah.
It was, we're just going to be friends, and that's how it is. The seasons of life weren't a thing, but
But now they are.
They are.
Yeah.
25 years later, 26. It's a thing.
So in all the things that you've been through and walked through together, when did Jesus come into the picture for you two?
Last year. I mean, our childhoods were different with religion. I grew up with my mom and stepdad didn't attend church until I was about high school. And I enjoyed, and then when we found a church and we started attending, I enjoyed it. But my parents were divorced, so then every other weekend I went to Catholic church with my stepmom. And I loved it because it was one-on-one time with her. And my dad and her have boys, so it was like our girl time. So every other weekend I went to a Christian church. Every other weekend I went to a Catholic church. Was I sold on either one of them when I went off to college? Not really. Yeah. I really wasn't. And then I married someone who was a staunch Catholic, and that was what I did. I became Catholic because it was what was expected. Our children were going to go to Catholic schools, and they do, and they did, and that's been fine. But I think religion for me became almost like a bitter topic after our divorce because it was one of those things, it was important to him, and so I did it. And now it's like I'm left attending all the school things and doing the church things for the kids and doing the volunteering. So for a while, I had a bitter taste in my mouth for church and religion in general. And then I know her childhood, you can take it from here, was a little different also. So as adults coming together, it really just wasn't a topic that...
It wasn't.
We were so busy raising those children.
Yeah. That
it was pushed to the wayside, honestly.
It really wasn't a thing per se.
Yeah.
And then about, I guess, a year and a half ago or so, it came up in my marriage. my husband was like, I think we need to go to church. And I was like, nah, just not there yet. We're really busy. And he kind of was pretty persistent. And if you know my husband, you know that this is a thing. He's very persistent when he wants something. And I kept pushing him off. And we finally got to the point where I was like, okay, fine. Like I met a group of women and they were very much into church. Met them together per se. And I was like, okay, well, they're all going to church now. I guess I need to go to church. I don't know. And so that was about a little over a year ago. And just kind of grown from that. For me and my husband, we started, we were baptized this year and just growing in our faith, I guess, somewhat together. As quickly as we can, per se.
Because everybody's journey is different, even between
in
you
our
and
comfort
him.
level, I guess, because he was not raised. I think he said that he wasn't even raised with a Bible in the house. Mm-hmm. So when I grew up going to church with my grandmother, and then kind of off and on through high school, so there was never consistency for either one of us per se. So now we're doing it together.
Which is also really awesome.
Yes, it is. Has it changed your relationship, your friendship at all? Yeah. Enhanced?
I mean, I think we've both grown somewhat together.
Yeah.
But it's not it
hasn't impacted anything.
Yeah. It's not going to per se change anything with our friendship as far as if one goes, one doesn't, or if one's talking about it or one's not, or not that we don't discuss it, but it's kind of like politics. Mm-hmm. We don't really discuss politics. We know what side we're on, but it's not a conversation because it doesn't need. Yeah, because it doesn't need to be. Right.
It's one of those respect things again.
Yeah,
I respect that her thoughts may be different than mine, and we just don't need to go there. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're both growing over the last year in that, but maybe at a different pace or in different ways. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just a respect factor of, again, if one of us needs something or wants to go to church or doesn't want to go to church or whatever, we're just kind of there to support that. And questions or if we need prayer or whatever, it's discussed at that point, I guess. It's not a, hey, you're not going to church, we're not friends. Or you're not growing fast enough, or you're going to church and, oh, you're doing this, we're not friends now. It's not like that for us.
Because I attended church with her and I enjoyed it and it was wonderful, but I still have a child in a Catholic school. So I feel as though for a little while longer, I need to, for her sake, I mean, she's not worshiping a trash can. She's not, praying to a tree. So we can have those differences and it doesn't matter. Do I like attending church with her? Yeah. I mean, even Bailey went with us. She was like, this is just very different, Mom. Right. Not bad, just different. Yeah. And so until I feel like I get her out of the Catholic schools, it's not a betrayal thing, but, at one point I was betrayed. Mm-hmm. And I had been told how important the religion was. And so I think I just want to stick in my limbo area until I get her out of school. We're not she's not changing schools. She's in 8th grade. So once she goes off to high school, it'll be a little easier, I think, to kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that even without realizing it, that you guys have built a community together. Mm-hmm. Like, based on what Jesus tells us to do. Love each other despite our differences and support each other in it. We can still be gracious to one another, even if we don't have the same opinions. And I don't have a problem with that at all. Right. I know some people find that very difficult, and that's fine, to each their own. But you guys built a bond together that was centered on pure love. Mm-hmm. And that's what Jesus wants us to do. Right. And so many women are just craving that community. Yeah. For sure. It's hard.
It is hard. And life's just busy. Like you said, I think especially if you're an adult and have a family and you don't have those friendships, but you want to build the friendships.
How do you find them?
How do you even find it? Yeah.
And we're so tired.
We're so tired.
And you get invited to go do things and you're like, yes, I want to go. And then that day you're like,
You find excuses?
oh gosh,
but my
so
sweatpants are way more comfortable.
I know, right? So to force yourself to do that sometimes is really difficult.
Yeah.
But to show up in PJs or your hair's a mess or you've been sick for days, you know, it's what you have to do in order to have 2 decades
because
of
people remember who showed up when they needed it the most. You know, I mean,
doesn't matter what you're wearing.
When crises happen, we know who was there. Yeah. So.
That's a good point.
And that just convicts me to try to be a better friend, you know. I mean, and you know, life is life.
Yeah.
But
I might tell her that I have to put my makeup on first, where she's like in her PJs and throwing her shoes on. But again, that compromise, and sometimes finding that as a new Christian, I can see now where, you know, God doesn't tell us, hey, I'm going to stop and put my makeup on or I'm going to get dressed. He's just there. So in preparation for this, you know, it's made me think about, just like Riley said, like we've centered this on our love and commitment and grace, which is what we all seek from God every single day. We've done that, like, and it's a beautiful scenario to stop and actually pull it all together about forgiveness, grace, love, and just the unconditional support and always being there.
Well, this friendship's lasted longer than any of our marriages combined, so there's that.
I was waiting for that. Right? I was waiting for that comment. It's fine.
Not ready to break up with her?
No, not anytime soon. No.
Have you ever been close? Have you ever had?
yeah, have there ever been any? I want to know, has there been any major?
We went through a spell during that time when I said misery loves company. We were both just down an angry path. We were angry. I was angry that my marriage of over a decade was coming to a head, and her whole marriage was full of frustration and anger. So when it was over, there was an amount of relief, and we just were totally different people, but we were both so negative. Looking back now, we just fed off of each other. And do I think the outcome would have been any different with our marriages had we had different attitudes? Absolutely not. But it could have helped us in the couple of months where things were rocky. But look, we don't even talk about it. We don't talk about that time period when we really didn't. No, but we both know that neither one of us are perfect. Neither one of us were right or wrong. We were just in very different places. And when we came back, it was like it had never happened.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing about a good, strong friendship. Like, even through the ups and the downs, like you can come back together.
And that's really been it in 26 years.
It's a long time. You make me feel really old. You keep saying that.
Considering we just turned 30.
Right. I know. That's what I'm like, you guys are babies.
Right.
I wish geniuses.
You know, I wish sometimes we could go back to when we were just 30 and be like, oh, let's do some things differently.
We all wish that. You know?
But at the same time, though, where we're at now is 10 times better than what we could have ever been. So would I change any of it? No.
I mean,
how we handled some things, maybe, yes. But the outcome, absolutely not.
No.
You have Wayne and you now have Gunner.
I know.
We've had a couple family members leave our lives unintentionally, but I mean, overall, it's been more good than bad.
Oh, yeah. I would go through the bad again to be here, for sure, for both of us. Not without each other, by no means. There's some things we could change, but this right here, it's forever.
No. We're just kind of stuck at this point.
I know. Divorce isn't a thing in friendship, so we're stuck.
No, it's not.
I kept thinking, I'm glad I wrote it down because I would have forgotten what verse it was. But when I was thinking about friendship, like the verse that kept coming to my mind was Ecclesiastes 4, I think it's 10. 2 are better than 1. If they fall, one will lift up his companion. And, you know, that could be used for any relationship. Like you've talked about, any relationship depends on the time you put into it, the effort you put into it. You'll get back out of it, you know, but it's beautiful to have that friend then that can lift you up when life happens and you're down. And I think it's important, you touched on this a little bit, just the vulnerability. Like, I don't know that you can build a solid, real friendship without really being vulnerable with another person. You were talking about her coming over in a PJs, you know, and you're like, oh, I got to put some makeup on. Like, but for your friends to see you when you're really vulnerable and hurting and down low.
It's hard
Or
to
even
have a
just-
stranger
Yeah.
as you're building new friendships. It's like, oh, what can I say and what can I not? And how do I act? And oh, if I do that, they're not
They're not gonna like
they're
me.
not
They're
gonna
not gonna
like
be my
it, or
friend.
that's gonna be really embarrassing. I mean, we've seen it all. Like it's been a thing. And it's been easy for the most part, the vulnerable side of things. But as we build other friendships, that vulnerability, man, it's so hard. It's so hard.
Don't you think, though, that deepens the bond
It does.
between anyone that you're friends with?
does.
Like when you have a real vulnerable moment with someone or a group of people,
Yeah.
it deepens that bond so much.
You just can't be scared to have it. Like as
Yeah.
people are listening and thinking, oh, I want that so bad. You got to take that risk of opening up yourself to a group or a new friend. And even if it doesn't work out, because we've both had friendships that we've been vulnerable in, they're not here anymore. And although it didn't really strain our friendship, as you're building those, you kind of have to make sure that you're paying attention to those relationships that have been there forever or 2 decades, whatever it is. But be vulnerable, be realistic with yourself, and know that, I mean, you don't know if you don't try.
Yeah.
The vulnerability makes people real. You know, when all you have is the surface level, and you look at social media as a horrible example, but it's a real one. When you just look at what people share, nobody talks about the bad stuff. Yeah. They just share all the accolades and the praises and the wonderful things going on. So, you know, behind closed doors, we all know it's not like that. Right. So to actually see that in other people, you can put yourself in their shoes a whole lot easier. Just makes it easier to be friends with people when you see that, oh gosh, they struggle with that too.
Right. They're being real.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
It just reminded me of before we started this and how we were trying to get it together. And I just kind of felt like, you know, friends are there for the outtakes. So all the, like you said, social media, all of the things that, in order to, the things that I have to do to get a good picture of my kids, let's just say that.
Right.
You know, clean up all the messes and have them stand still. And it's hard and all that working together, but a friend sees all that and knows all that and relates to all that. And it's fun.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
It's just like the verses you always read in the wedding vows. Love is patient, love is kind. It's true for friendships too.
Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
It holds no records of wrongs.
Yep.
Like the time period you guys said that we don't talk about that anymore. It's because you don't hold it against each other, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Whereas it's real easy to pull those files back out of the closet when you feel hurt.
And anymore people do it at a drop of a hat.
Sure.
It's
It's
really
so easy
sad
to quit at
to
things.
see
Yes.
how easily
move
people
on.
be like, but you did that to me, so now I'm going to do it to you, or now we're not friends. And you're like, I didn't even do anything. Like, how did we get here? Like, we had a friendship and now all of a sudden you're not. Well, that holding no record is huge. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I'm sure having Jesus as part of your life too helps with that, because he changes us. He changes you
does.
from the inside out. Like, in my own strength, I'm not very forgiving. Like, I will remember people's wrongs like on my own,
Right.
but God can come in and change that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's that daily reminder, I think, for me, of getting frustrated or upset or thinking, oh, that person, they weren't very nice. And I'm like, but wait, there was a time that I wasn't very nice. And, you know, more times than not, in the last year and a half, it's a reminder for myself. God forgave me. I walked away for so long and I made some terrible life decisions. He forgave me. So why am I not forgiving that person? And it's kind of a daily reminder between us. We've been so forgiving, and we've done that just in the way that God has done that for us our whole lives, even when we weren't next to him.
Right. I love it.
We love your friendship.
Yes.
We
It's
behaved
fun for
today.
us to watch.
I wanted to ask if you have any like crazy stories about each other that you're willing to share. Like something that you're like, oh, I need you to come do and it was crazy. Or something that makes you laugh when you're like.
So my favorite memory from when we were first friends, this is my other than the girl that was not very nice in our math class. We kind of joke about that is how we come together. But I can remember her calling me and I'm like, why have you not been in class?
Oh,
sorry. And I'm like, where did she go? She's disappeared. This girl that I just met again. I'm like, oh man, I done ran her off. Like, did she drop out of class? What is going on? And finally I got a hold of her and I'm like, what is wrong? She was like, I was hit by a milk truck.
I'd been in a car accident. Kester milking truck. Big old sucker. He had his turn signal on. I thought he was turning. I pulled out. He was not turning.
Oh, no.
No. Milk truck 1, 1991 Grand Am 0.
That was like my first fun memory.
And it was a night class, so I was lazy. It was a good excuse not to go. I was sore. I was tired. I didn't have a car. I didn't want, and I lived on campus.
I'm like, you're leaving me in class with this mean girl by myself. Get back to class. I don't care about that milk truck.
Yeah, my parents were like, I know we just live right across the highway, but go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, your time here has expired. So, yeah, I lived on campus at USI. I could have walked, but I chose not to.
Because you had an excuse.
It hurt.
Good excuse.
The milk truck got her.
The milk truck got her.
I don't know what your fun memory would be. I'm kind of nervous to even.
I can't really even think of, the one that sticks out for me. It's not funny. It's not crazy. And I probably won't cry, but, just never know.
You do
when I had my daughter, life was different. My marriage was good, but it wasn't great. And that first shower after I had her, I needed help. And I just didn't want to ask him for help. So she came in, helped me shower, I'd had a C-section. She helped me put my clothes on. Until then, other than childhood, I'd never had anybody blow dry my hair before. So I sat on my bench and she just blow dried my hair for me. And she had kids at home, 6 at the time that she was raising. But she took the time to come and help me when she had 6 young kids at home.
So sweet.
Yeah. Good and bad. We've done it.
I have my best friend that I just reminded me that I had since kindergarten. I was pregnant with my first, and I was due I think the next day or 2 days later. I was going to the hospital. We had me scheduled to go, and she doesn't even live here, but she had come over for the day, and I think taken me to lunch or something. And I remember her rubbing my feet. Makes me want to cry. She went and got some lotion and rubbed my feet I never would have asked her to do that. Yeah.
It's that water
But
under the
I
flowers.
remember, just remember her, that's a menial low ask to rub someone's feet. I would have never asked, when you're pregnant and you're just want to have this baby and her rubbing my feet for me.
Part of those friendships that you just, you got to do.
Cherish. Yeah.
Remember when we destroyed the couch?
We might need to hear this one.
Oh, now it's going to be on record.
I know.
Oh, maybe not then.
So it's okay. There was a decision she did not win at, and so we had to get rid of the couch.
Let's back this story up. It's fine. It's been decades, and it's fine. So I went through a very tough divorce in 2014.
It was nasty.
My ex-husband was a drug addict. They were found in our homes, and long story short, divorce happened, all the things. And this was probably not one of my brighter moments in life. But when it comes down to it, you have to divide your property and all the things. And I was
We were petty.
I was a very scorned person at that point. There was a lot of things that, hurt on my children and things like that emotionally. So I was to leave his personal belongings out by the sidewalk so they could be picked up, and he got the couch. We might have had a Sky Zone moment in my living room.
Grown women.
It's fine.
Was it fun?
though.
I was like, was it fun? I bet it was so fun.
It was so
fun. Yeah. It was
And
so
I
fun.
was going through a divorce at the time, so I was all for anything.
You're like, let's get this.
Bring
right.
it.
She was like, yes, let's do it. Yeah. It's okay. It's been 10 years now.
Gosh,
that
I'd
couch is
forgotten
long.
about that.
Yeah.
That was funny. But then we got a new couch, remember?
We didn't jump on that couch.
No, we were very careful with the couch.
It was okay.
I love it. I'm sure there's like 26 years of memories.
Yeah.
There is.
For sure.
Things that you don't even remember.
Oh, I'm sure. But
How do you remember all of those things?
Yeah, you don't, because they're built up of small, little everyday moments too.
Yes. Yeah. But the fun ones, they stick out. We probably should have focused on that early and you could have heard all kinds of fun things, but we can end on that one.
It's fine.
It's a good note to end on.
So whether
Thanks for
it's
answering it.
rubbing your feet or jumping on your couch
Right.
in retribution for a minute
Right.
yourself. Watering flowers is important.
It is.
And you guys are beautiful examples of that.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
And thanks to you guys for tuning in today. We hope you've enjoyed this friendship and challenge you to water somebody else's flowers today. I also challenge you, while you're still here, to hit that like button, give us a comment below and tell us how we can pray for you, as well as don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the notification bell so that you get a notification every Tuesday when we post our episodes. Until then, grab a shield. We'll see you out there.
See ya.